Hello, everybody, and welcome to Eberron Depth of Culture Session 3. But this session, we actually have a guest with us, and actually he'll be sticking with us for, well, we'll see how long. Hello,
Who?
Will.
Who? Oh, hi. Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, you know, tired, good.
Yeah.
How are you?
Tired and good. Look at that. Should we?
Wonderful.
Erin, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you.
Are you also tired?
I'm very tired.
Eric, how are you?
I am tired. I'm not good though. I'm great.
You know, you broke the joke. All he was supposed to say, exhausted and grumpy. Like,
Oh,
I'm
I didn't know where this. Sorry, I didn't read the script before the show.
guys, it was in Discord. It was this whole thing. Like,
As if Scott's organized enough to have a script.
no. So if you notice, I went live over on Doxy's channel. Oops. I run the show on Doxy's channel over on Tuesdays. So it's one of those things where I forgot to switch the stream key. Oops. So poor Doxy. That's all right. She'll have a lot of those like 10-second or several minute.
Nah,
like,
10 minutes.
That's okay. So anyways, just build hype. All right. So let's jump into the game. Because we left off at a pretty interesting point. I want to throw it over to Eric because this is kind of his focus. Where is it that we, not a full recap of last session, but where is it we ended off at the tail end of last session, Eric?
So the tail end of the last session, if I remember correctly, was we went to investigate the where the ruler of this area lived, and we found this vault that essentially was housing a bunch of treasures for the hobgoblins that lived here. I was able to access it due to my my very fancy bloodline, and that was essentially, if I remember correctly, that was pretty much the last thing we did. Is I was accessing. I went into the vault to try to find what I came here for. I was not able to find that in here, but there was a bunch of money and stuff that I
And Karen
grabbed.
said, "Put it all in a bag of holding, please."
And I did that, and that was where we left. That was the end of the session, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it pretty much ended on Scott was like, nice happy ending. We're like, no, this is really
This is a
depressing.
sad ending.
This is maybe the saddest point in Ryyk's story.
But on the bright side, you did get all of that treasure. I mean,
He doesn't care about treasure.
But the likelihood,
Kieran cares about treasure.
the likelihood of the treasure blowing up though is pretty slim.
Whoa! I'm so glad that we have limited.
Really?
reason to
All the
believe that
traps
treasure
we've seen
stuff.
in this area?
So he said slim, not
Economically.
none.
Large
Yes.
amount of traps we've seen in this area. I would not be surprised if this
We
treasure.
have a non-zero chance of our treasure blowing up.
That's why we put it in a bag of holding.
you
One
go.
day we're just sailing back and just shit's gonna fly everywhere. Someone's gonna die from like coin inside their head. It's gonna be great.
But the session literally ended with you guys kind of walking away from that. So it wasn't a, oh, and then we took a rest or anywhere along those lines. So you do need to find your way into the castle itself. And so this is where Bellum is going to say, more or less, like, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can scout.
That doesn't
for
sound
a-
like Bellum.
I'm going to go and
There we go. That's pretty
look
hot.
for another
Oh, Bellum, you had a bit of a frog in your throat for a moment there, but now you
way
sound
in, you know, and stuff, because I'm bored. Okay, bye. And
you scout ahead, Bellum.
and
But so far that I can't see you or smell you at any time.
that's the plan. Or hear, even. You can't hear him either.
I'm more concerned about the smell.
Wow, that's racist, dude. He showers.
No, Bellum, I totally forgot about this until like a couple of weeks
It's
ago.
because he's a
Bellum
quirk,
washed
isn't it? It's because he's a quirk.
once in this campaign. Once he's washed, and that's not included. That's including like time skips or like things off camera. He's washed once in the 2 years he's been around. Oh no, he's only around about being a
I think
Viking.
it's actually a character trait, though, like on his character.
It is a
So
character.
I just want to say,
What?
if his character was human and that was a trait, you wouldn't have brought it up. I'm just saying. His character is
Stalbot wouldn't
human,
have. No, Stalbot. So yeah, exactly.
but because of the fact that he is
Yeah.
partially an orc, all of a
Because
sudden,
because
he's a
Because
stereotype.
he's a gatekeeper, Scott. Actually, has nothing to do with the orcness. It's the
A
gatekeeper.
gatekeeper to mixing races.
Jesus.
Illegal.
So
Let
anyways,
them gates be kept.
so Stalbor is not going to have his apartheid ever on. Okay, so we're
Star Wars is racist enough.
Holy fuck.
So we are. You guys are making your way out of the vaulted area and whatnot. Ryyk had just taken fistfuls of gold and shoved them into the bag, probably feeling a bit dirty while doing so, but also knowing like, what is it doing here? This could actually work towards the cause of my people and whatnot if I take this and blah blah blah. So he does grab the gold and he throws it into the bag, and you guys go walking out. As you do walk out, as I said, Bellum says, we're not finding a way in that's decent. I'm going to see if I can find this a better spot in. Why don't you guys go ahead and start looking, more or less the direction you end up heading off in. And I'm going to go and check at that front door and see how things are going there. And so on. So Bellum actually will go and start heading off in a different direction. You guys still have the sending stones, no?
Well, Kieran has a sending stone.
She has a sending stone, that's right.
Yeah.
So then he just more or less, she says, so you know about his magic arrows, obviously. He says, if I'm in danger, I need help, I'll fire one of my lit arrows up at one of the stalactites so that it'll light up and you guys can see it from anywhere in this cavern. And you'll be able to come and find me, okay?
Great idea.
It's lit.
Oh. Okay. So I say next week, Winterbear, I say next week, if you could replace Eric, just because of that joke, I'd appreciate it, okay?
You know what? Just put me in for as many cameras as you need.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, know if you want.
It's the Winter Bear Variety Show.
As punishment for that, Eric.
I would love to play an episode where I play everyone and no one acknowledges it. That would be so fucking fun. Everyone gets a voice. I don't know what I'd do with a Ryyks, but I'll think about it.
I would absolutely love to watch that.
I was getting so tired.
Yeah. Weird Al get tired as well. All right,
Just
so
all doing
anyways.
a bunch of different fucking voices.
So you guys make your way out and start finding your way in. So if you remember, just to remind you, this is a multi-tiered building that you were climbing up. Each tier had a different door that entered into the place. You guys, the only door you guys actually tried to get into was the highest door, the top one.
I tried to get into the bottom one.
Barely. You just sent your skeletons.
Skeletons.
Yeah, they're still down there banging.
Yeah.
We made a skeletal attempt.
Wow, Eric, you are definitely being replaced next week. So, I don't care if it's your story arc. It's bad. To make me mute you in Zoom. So, anyways, which method you guys use to try to make your way in? The three of you.
What methods are there?
The other doors, or search around the back side of the castle if you want to go and check other areas.
Other doors, I think, make more sense if we can just go down safely.
Yeah.
You easily can go down safely, especially since you have your magics and whatnot on you still. I said magics. You have magics on you still.
You say that all the time. Why you acknowledge it now? It's what? How many episodes?
I don't think I usually say the word magic, but I said magic.
Oh, you said magics. He doesn't.
Why are we so off base? Let's keep going. So do you want to make yourself all the way down to the base of the castle, or do you want to stay kind of high up? One of the
Why not go down one floor at a time?
Okay, gotcha. So you're just gonna try to like check each room, see if it's what you're looking for, and then keep pushing your way down from there. Understood. All right. In a further area, way back at the base of this castle. So, Dalnus, you're obviously here for a reason. I mean, you are, as it says on your name, above your head right there, floating. It says Dalnus the Kundarak. Once again, the D is big and not small. I'll grumble about that to myself and not allowed. And
isn't it a font that has no lowercase?
It is.
That's exactly the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so you did Kundarak, which actually means that you are a member of the house. You're actually a member of the family. So the reason why you're here, I mean, your own personal reasons aside, the reason why that you are here right now going into this facility is because honestly looking for lost treasures and whatnot is something that Kundarak has a lot of interest in. Not the searching for treasures typically. Usually Kundarak is interested in the housing of treasures, keeping things of great value to themselves, identifying things that could be valuable, but also cracking vaults. That's something that they tend to be good at. It's not that your character is necessarily good at cracking vaults. You're more of a soldier than anything else, but you are a representative of the family, yes?
Sort of.
Elaborate.
Well, after the wars,
became extremely disenfranchised with everything, lost too many friends, lost too many people. Essentially went off to live in the, well, wilderness alone as much as possible. Keeping myself safe, keeping things that I treasure safe. Very much interested in facilities still like this. It's more of a passing hobby now, though, than something house-related. But my reasons for being here are more aggressive than that. Kind of looking for a fight. Would be a good way to put it.
Gotcha. So you want to find that next big fight, like a challenger that's worth your while, sort of a thing.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So as you said, you took to the wilds, try to keep to yourself as much as possible to avoid having to deal with the other peoples, avoid the house, so on and so forth. But unfortunately, the island that you eventually chose to settle on, at least for some time, is not an uninhabited island. This island that you're at right now is an island that happens to have House... House
Thorani.
Thorani, thank you. House Thorani has a base of operations here. And so, with you being a dwarf, it's pretty obvious that you'd be trudging around the island and they would approach you. And you're not just any dwarf. You have... Where is it located?
Around the neck.
Funny, that's kind of where Bellum had his, which is amusing.
Has.
Sure.
Don't past tense Bellum. Not yet.
We could have left him as a statue.
You
So anyways, it's a will thing. So it's very obvious to them that you're a member of House Kundarark, and so they would take interest in you.
Certainly. If they saw it, certainly. I'm wearing heavy plate mail.
So you would have been approached at some point in time in the past, not right now, about House Thorani and your reasoning for being there. When they immediately approached you, it actually would have been under a bit of disguise. But again, you're no fool, so you actually would have been able to see through that disguise. It's not that you're particularly intelligent or anything like that. It's just that you're familiar with the house's wiles and ways. You're familiar with the way that Thorani would do things, and so you were able to eventually kind of like pierce through their disguise and realize that they were prodding you for information and whatnot. And it's not like you were looking for friends here, anyways. So they would actually bring to your attention, like, hey, listen, why don't we make a bit of an alliance, an allegiance? Why don't you work with us from time to time, and it'll benefit you greatly. Whether it be food when you can't otherwise find some, shelter, news of what's going on in the islands themselves, so on and so forth. Whatever it is that might interest you at the time. So, very recently, one of the members of Thorani is actually going to meet up with you. He's a bit chatty and nice. You've met with him before. His name is Slade. Slade de Thorani. But you've met with him before, and he comes up and he's like, at this point in time, you've been traveling through the woods, and he's like, Dalnus, how you doing?
Same as always. How are you?
Well, ain't dead yet. He says one of the ongoing jokes he always likes to make is the fact that he's an elf, and elves live a long time, and everybody dies around him, and he's already partway through his second century.
Very great person.
Yeah. So listen, we came across a bit of information we thought you might find interest in. I was kind of wondering if you would be willing to help me out with the situation that we're handling.
Is the information about this thing that you're wanting me to help handle? Or is this information separate from that?
No, they're linked. They're the same. Let me just explain it to you, and we'll see how interested you are.
First things first. Same deal as always. Food and supplies.
Of course. And he slings a bag off of his shoulder and drops down to the ground. Not heavily, not like in a disrespectful way, but you can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff inside there, fresh fruits and some things that are preserved and whatnot.
I immediately grab the bag, put it over my shoulder. I know whatever job he's given me, I'm taking it.
Okay. He says, we've had staying at the manor kind of a strange group of people a weird amalgamation of all over Corvair. They're adventurers. You know how those types are. And they've been doing a bit of research about all sorts of things pertaining to the houses. They've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, but that doesn't matter. The important thing is that one of them happens to be a hobgoblin and seems to have found a way to actually get into a nearby cave that we have never been able to get into before. And the ancient knowledge that can be locked away in there is something that we find tantalizing. And we would love to get the opportunity to go in there and check it out. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to play bodyguard, kind of shadow me for a while.
Yeah, sure. Why not? What's the worst that can happen, right?
We both die horrible and painful deaths, but
There are worse things.
probably you first. Gives me a chance to get away, right?
We'll see.
Well, I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Oh, exactly.
And
I'm just gonna tap my maul in my hand and then just put it into the one little leather strap that I have on my belt that is way too small for this maul, but it's sitting there ready to go.
well, he travels with you. It actually takes about a day and a half travel to get to the cave that he was referring to get you brought up to where it is. Now, you've never spent this much time with him in one sitting. Several hours before, sure. And you've always thought, well, his chatty nature and whatnot might be considered charming to some, and sure, it makes you chuckle from time to time. Overall, you just find him to be annoying in general. But the fact that you've now had to spend a day and a half straight with him, and that he is definitely the person that talks to you while you're falling asleep at night, and definitely right when you wake up in the morning, because as we all know, elves don't sleep. So
That's mine.
He was awake,
it.
waiting for you when you were there. It's one of those, like, you wake up in the morning, he's like, oh yeah, I've already prepared breakfast. I hope you like eggs. And you're like, oh, already. So you make your way into the actual cave mouth. You climb up the mountainside and you get into the cave mouth. One of the things that you have to note as you go walking into the cave is the rubble that's all around on the ground. It looks like the entire area had like exploded down, like a stone wall had exploded down and appeared on the ground all around where you are. You're stepping through the rubble and whatnot. But the important thing to note with it is that it seems strange. Like the rubble that you see, the chunks of rock and whatnot, you're a dwarf. It seems a bit off, just instinctively to you. Could you do me a favor and roll me a... there is no stone cutting, so I suppose nature? Oh, we rolled, I just didn't hear it, sorry.
No problem.
No. So, you roll a nature check. You actually, looking at the stone as you walk past, you notice that even though this is in fact stone, clearly a stone, there's a strange texture to the stone, not in the actual tactile texture, but the way that it looks, the way that it's formed. I mean, it blew apart and broke the way stone does, yes, but it almost looks like you've seen things, what's the word I'm looking for here? You've seen things that have petrified over the course of, like, you know, hundreds of years, thousands of years, whether it be trees underneath a lake or bones of old creatures in a mountainside or whatever. And this definitely has that petrified kind of look and feel to it. When you make your way through the entrance and start traveling through the place, the number of corpses you see around you, the littered bones everywhere as you go, is just mind-blowing. You do come across a few traps. Luckily for you, Slade is light on his feet and quick-witted, and a lot of them have already been sprung or made safe by the group that traveled in before you. But you make your way through this place, once again seeing litters of bodies here and there piled up, so on and so forth. Your trek through this area is much, much quicker than the rest of the party's was, because you don't care to discover what happened here, right now at least. You care to discover if there's anything of monetary value first, and then knowledge value second, right? Because you have time to study in the future. That's Slade's perspective, and you're here to walk along with him, right? So he's walking along, and the entire time, you've kind of got your dwarven senses of being inside of a cave on high alert. As you're walking through, it's kind of like one of those, you're listening for the echoes of footfalls or a breath that seems out of place, a shifting of rocks, things that you might give telltale of an ambush happening or something dangerous, especially with all the corpses about you. Are these about to stand up and start attacking us? Blah, blah, blah. But Unfortunately, it's a little difficult to concentrate on that because much like this long multi-minute rambling I've just did explaining your entrance into the place, Slade has not stopped talking since you got there. All the wonderful details, all the corpses. Do you think those two are wed? I don't know. I have a feeling like the two of them, they probably weren't married. I bet that was his mistress. Look at the way he's holding her. That embrace, there's way too much passion there. But they're clearly too old to have... And so on. Eventually, you guys are going to find yourselves into a sea of corpses in a hallway where the bodies get so thick, you're literally pushing and wading yourself through them. And it is not an easy task to do so. We're going to pull the camera back from you and go over towards the other three. You lowered yourself down the first level and went up to the first door. Same as before. I imagine Ollie does a quick check for the door to see if it's safe and whatnot. Was that Ollie last time? No, it was not.
Well, it would have been Bellum because he's actually good at it, but I will do an investigation, sure. Unless it's perception, but it's usually investigation for traps.
You are correct, it's investigation.
Can I have advantage? Because we know the sort of traps because we've already experienced some?
You know what? I will give that to you.
It's all about the hustle, boys!
Only because you had to listen to me explain way too much stuff, though.
Yeah.
All right, so as you
I'm real sleepy after that, actually.
You walk in, so you walk up to the door, you start searching and whatnot, and you can see the door is locked. Yay. But you can also tell that clearly this door has, it's one of those things where it's locked and everything, but clearly there's like a bit of like a film over the handle itself to open the door. And so when you see this film that's there, you can pretty quickly identify the fact that it's probably a contact poison. And so you can wipe it off with a cloth or whatever it is to make it safe for yourself.
Ah, my dragon mark of finding. The magic finds poison on this handle.
Fun fact, you guys have come across poison several times in this place and have never once, because you chose not to touch things where I had it placed, I was like, damn it, because the mark of finding did not find any of it.
That's fine. I guess, yeah, we like find...
It finds hidden things and secret doors. It
like
doesn't find things that are in the open, like...
This is why you have an elf.
But unfortunately, every time I've like, haha, this poisoned all over this stuff, you guys have never touched it. I'll give you an example.
When dungeoneering, don't touch things unnecessarily, and never touch something and then touch your mouth and or genitals.
I'll spoil something for you. When you guys went through that room that was like an armory that had just like a whole bunch of weapons and everything at the ready for guards to go through it, I was like, do you investigate it? Do you check out the stuff that's there? Do you say? And Eric's like, I honestly don't give a shit about this stuff. And I was like, okay.
Why would they trap their? Oh, never mind.
Because they're not. Because it was the last trapped room. It wasn't actually their armory.
Rip.
Yeah.
These guys had too much money. I'm glad they're dead. Eat the rip.
Ow.
So, anyways,
Rude.
says Stalbor clanging around with 9,000 gold in his bag.
I'm glad these guys are all dead.
So you
Monster.
you're able to wipe that up, and you can start trying to open the door. How do you pick this lock there, Ollie?
Did you say it was locked?
I did say it was locked, yes.
Well, I wouldn't pick the lock. I would tell someone else to pick the lock.
Yep, I got this. No worries.
Oh no.
Second level spell.
Oh god.
I'm just gonna knock it down.
I was like, oh god, is she gonna cast it? Yep, she does. She casts a damaging spell. So second level spell.
It is one of those things that where as Stalbor looks back, he looks back at Ryyk knowing what's about to happen.
I'll just like pat your shoulder to like push you to the side because it's gonna be a big area of effect.
Yeah, I know by now. I've felt enough thunder waves and seen enough of them.
Aggressive.
So the door is in fact blown open by the thunder wave, and when it's blown open, one of the things is inside the doorway there are a few bodies that had died near the door. Those get blasted backwards and against the wall, and the bones kind of like rattle and whatnot, and things are thrown aside. And there's a huge loud boom that fills up the entire chamber and rushes down the walls, and fills up this entire, kind of courtyard where you guys are. And then the sound rushes out the courtyard and through the tunnel filled with bodies that you guys are wading through down this. You hear like a thunder clap as you're wading your way through bodies. And so when all of a sudden that loud boom happens, and it's really loud, and it like washes past you, Slade turns to you and says, "Did you hear that?"
No, I didn't.
I didn't hear the very large boom that went past us. Of course I heard it. That's probably your adventurers.
Or it's a trap.
Or it's a trap. But who triggered that trap?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, maybe we should hurry up.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
And so he starts moving much quicker, trying to get through the bodies and whatnot. You can actually roll me a... How would you handle literally a hallway filled with dead bodies that kind of piled on each other?
I will point out...
Poorly?
Just kind of like shove your way through?
Kieran exploded a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Okay. I'm going to describe the fun stuff soon, Ollie. I haven't forgotten things.
I was just wondering if we left
further down the hall.
Okay. Long hall. My wall is upside down right now. Anything that's in front of me, I'm just smashing in front of me as I walk.
Gotcha.
As much as possible with the head of the mall.
Or at least like move it. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
because it peels up.
Snow shoveling.
So what's fun is as you're making your way through this sea of corpses, you eventually come to an area where they seem to have piled up. Like as you break your way through the sea of them, you end up causing the ones immediately in front of you to wash down into an area that otherwise was a clearing beforehand. But the important thing to note about the clearing that's there is that there's almost like a couple of makeshift seats is your immediate assessment. There's a couple of makeshift seats where people seem to have sat and relaxed. As a matter of fact, like you can see where one person would have paced back and forth, and you can actually see where another sat on their bum and maybe meditated for a while. And you picking up the signs that clearly there was a group that had relaxed here beforehand. The fact that there's a big bubble that otherwise was clear definitely leads you to further believe what it was that you were just discussing. Also, after this point, even though there's still many corpses on the ground in front of you, far less than there was before and easier to push your way through. Slade stepping through goes, "Oh, finally we can take a break."
I thought you wanted to move quickly.
Oh. Yeah, okay. I suppose.
If you need 10 minutes.
No, you're right. Let's just keep pushing. And he starts wading through the bodies again, but this time he's kind of like whining to himself as he does so. And this time it's much quicker and easier when you finally step through the double doors that you can clearly see would have been pinned shut by the number of bodies that were in here before if it wasn't for the fact that something else had cleared the way immediately around. There's only some broken bones or dust on the grounds around them. The doors are open and they lead to a ginormous antechamber. This place is absolutely fucking huge, and across the way from it is a huge castle that is just so gorgeous and awe-inspiring in its beauty, and just like it's designed in such a way to strike awe and fear into your heart as you see it. You can clearly tell that this thing is designed to withstand earthquakes and attacks and so on and so forth. This place is a siege resistant castle, right? So you see this across the way, but also as you step into the chamber, you can smell smoke in the area, and you can smell like a lingering smell of burning oil, something you're all too familiar with from your life in tunnels and whatnot. You can smell like the lingering effect of burning oil, even though it's long since burnt. And you can see up ahead as you're traveling that at some places stalactites had clearly fallen from the ceiling and crashed onto the ground, leaving bits of rubble here and there. As you're getting closer and closer to the place, once again, I imagine moving, not racing. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Not racing across, but also not moving slow.
Walking quickly, or light jog if we think it's dangerous, but I'm going to be leaving that to the person who I'm escorting. Because, as much as I said I thought you wanted to move quickly, it's his pace. Yeah. No, he will move quicker now that he's no longer wading through corpses, right? So, and you guys are making your way across it. Once you do get across, so you're close enough to actually see the front entryway of the actual castle, you can actually see it's open. The double doors that are there are open, and more importantly, you can see that there's 4 skeletons inside the smaller courtyard that are clawing and banging at a door, trying to cut it open. And as soon as he sees that, what's his name? Slade's like, "Oh no! It seems a shame that our 4 adventurers have met such a fateful ending." The 4 of them have... No. We still need to make the discovery ourselves, but perhaps that boom was the magics that took from them their lives and flesh. Sure.
Should we...
I don't know how. Okay, I have a question for you, and this may come across as insensitive. How much experience do you have going out into the field?
What do you mean by the field?
That answers my question. Thank you. These are not our adventurers. These skeletons are similar to the ones that we just waded through. Are all of the adventurers of the same people that lived in these halls, this castle?
Oh. Huh. They are all hobgoblins, aren't they? Oh. Oh, look at that. I knew we paid you for a reason, he says, kind of hitting you in the arm. Something that he does all too often, you find exceedingly, like increasingly annoying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, let's continue, shall we? Do you see anywhere where they might have gone?
He walking into the chamber. Ollie, how would the skeletons react to an elf and a dwarf walking up from behind them while their task is to attack the door in front of them?
You muted.
You're muted.
You just errand.
I did, Aaron. I can't see through their eyes or anything. They just kind of go on autopilot, but like via my programming.
Correct.
They would probably when Wivvy's speaking, they would turn probably threateningly stalking upwards, and that's when it's important to note that they do look more animated than the ones here, and they also have the freaking bleeding black eyes thing going on from their eye sockets. They would kind of surround, or at least surround in like a half circle around these guys.
Yep. No, almost, not quite.
Maybe one would like bash its sword on its shield quite loudly if it could. I think that would make sense as well.
Okay. So
they're basically there to watch.
They fan out, but this isn't the phalanx style that the hobgoblins are truly known for, and it's because it has the influence of Stalbor, even though Stalbor tries to mimic their style as well as it can, because Stalbor respects the dead. And you see them fanning out as he just described, coming towards you. They'll never be able to fully surround you. There's too few of them. But one of the other things that you notice in this courtyard is the other two very large corpses that are on the ground. These are very strange-looking creatures that you see there. One of them is an exploded chunks of flesh with part of it's like a whole leg is still put together, part of the head is still put together, but exploded chunks of flesh. The other one is a big flop-down flesh creature, just lying there dead.
Well, this appears bad. Do you have weapons?
When you say that, before you can even, it's like, do you have, and he already has like a dagger up in his hands.
Great. My maul's out.
Okay. And do you guys go wading into the skeletons?
Not necessarily. Waiting, seeing if they're going to attack.
You blast open the door up there, and it goes flying off the hinges as I described. A whole bunch of the bodies and whatnot getting thrown behind it as well and smashed against the wall, etc., etc. Not the whole room is disturbed by the force of your spell, but you know a solid third of it is. When the dust settles of the on the inside, and you guys can more easily see through the doorway. Sorry, my computer's just weird for a second. When the dust settles, you guys can more easily see through the doorway. You see that this chamber looks to be, because of what was on this floor and the type of guards that would be here, you can see that this chamber is where there were lots of supplies, prepared for the ballistas, and for the ballistas to have been armed with more shots, for guards to have been able to reacquire their bits of equipment, so on and so forth. But one of the other things that really catches your eye, Stalbor, is when you see all the different equipment that's on the walls in here, when you see the bits of like weapons and armor and whatnot, there's actually an area where there are it looks like a dozen vials all lined up in an area for like quick grab.
He'll notice that, but then he'll sort of put a hand on Ryk's shoulder and be like, before we enter, I think we need to address our game plan here. What do we have to gain to continue searching within this castle? We already know that the royal chamber that can only be entered by someone of royal blood has nothing in it, which means someone of royal blood already took your scepter. And I doubt they're probably still here. Oh, I will search the castle with you if you think that's where they would be. I believe more likely someone else has strolled in since in between when this place was sealed and when we got here.
But then why was why was that room left untouched? At the very least, there should have been a body there. There was no sign that this place has been entered in a long time.
That's true. No
we need
traps
to find.
Wait, no, traps were sprung when we were going through. Some of the oil traps and stuff.
Nope, no,
Yeah.
that's just wrong.
Also, Ryyk, why do you need this heirloom?
We discussed this. He wants to reunite his people because
Yes,
he's.
I know,
a
but
descendant
he has a special coin that was minted from ages long ago. He has the proof that he was here, that he has the bloodline.
This
Just
means
go
nothing
back.
to the people.
Just go
I
back
need-
to your people and take what's yours.
It's a symbol, and people rally behind symbols. You are a symbol. You and your storm are a symbol.
We'll
and
just kill whoever's standing in your way, and you'll be fine.
But that is exactly the problem with my home. People just kill and take whatever they want. I don't want that for my people anymore.
he
If
wants
I'm-
to do it his way.
If I'm going to change anything, if I just go and I do things the way that they've always been done, then I will have proven nothing. This is my. This was my. I don't know any way else to put it. This is my birthright. This is what I was meant to do. The
I
scepter. If it's
understand that you want to reinvent the wheel, but maybe it's best to just play by their rules for now and change it once you have power.
it will mean nothing if I do it that way.
So you believe whoever stole the scepter is most likely inside the castle?
I believe that the scepter, if it was stolen, we should be able to find the clue as to where it went from here. I could be wrong. I don't entirely know, but I have a feeling that it's here. I don't often have feelings, so I'm inclined to believe this one.
I've been there. That was mostly due to a flood of necromantic energy that rendered me near undead.
I shake my head and proceed.
Perception checks.
I'll laugh at that.
Do I get to do another one?
Yeah.
I wanted to do the, wait a minute, what's going on?
Is that you clanking, Scott?
No,
Yes.
it's skeletons.
Yeah. It's
He's
not
doing Foley art.
It's not a fork and knife, I swear. It's a
He said we can see the fork.
there you go. So
Both, if you couldn't see the fork, we might have just thought we were going mad. Maybe I had some monoxide poisoning or something.
as he finishes his speech, Ryyk and Stalbor are both very contemplative, and Kieran is definitely one of those people that is used to them being contemplative, and so just kind of rolls her eyes and lets them have their silence for a moment. Probably walking towards the door and already looking inside while they're taking their moment to sit there and be like, let me reflect on our conversation. But all of you guys are able to hear, because it's a quiet area where you are. Everything is quiet, everything's settled, so on and so forth. A banging of metal on metal down below. And it's hard to make out exactly what it is, except Stalbor, you don't even have to roll, you just make it smart. The pattern, the perfect steady pattern, you know that is one of your skeletons that's sending out an alarm.
There's someone down below. Someone's followed us here, or some monster or something. We need to get down now. Kieran?
I draw my weapon. I draw my weapon and I start making my way there.
Okay.
I
Now remember,
Jump. Yeah.
Yes.
remember, it's a few levels down, and it does kind of, it's almost like giant steps.
We need
of
to
roof,
jump
right?
twice.
Yeah, we jumped twice.
What spell do you have on you?
What spell do you think I have on me?
Yay! So do me a favor, roll me an athletics check as you run and jump.
Ooh.
All of us?
No, Karen doesn't have to. She can actually just launch herself when she casts that spell.
That's
Oh,
true.
that's true.
So her jump
But-
combined with her
Yeah.
launching is enough.
Kieran just jumps off. Stalbor takes a bit of a run up and is like, I hate this. He jumps.
Baby.
Oh, that was funny. You rolled it twice and got the same.
I don't know why I rolled twice, but you know what? I'll take it.
So what's awesome is Ryyk runs and actually jumps far enough, because you have a pretty high slow fall, don't you, Ryyk?
Yeah, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's at least.
monk
When you
thing.
hear there's something down below, and obviously you're excited to get answers, you can actually run and jump fast enough out of their reach so that Kieran can't even put you in the spell. Can't cast the spell quick enough. That's a reaction. That's not necessarily true, but more or less, you run and take care of the
Almost 60
problem.
feet.
Yeah, it's also a reaction. But you can run and jump down before Kieran goes to jump off the ledge and whatnot as well with him, allowing you to use your slow fall to get down there much faster than the rest of them are, right? So you just fall, you hit the ground, so you tumble and make the next jump, so on and so forth. However, Stalbor and Kieran, they go running and they jump off the ledge, Kieran using magic to propel herself forward, and you guys just use that like forward and downward momentum, because the slow fall makes you go gently. You're going to appear down there about a round and a half after Ryyk does. Ryyk, when you hit the ground, when you get down to the bottom level, you're literally on the roof where the opponents that you had faced last time were standing when they jumped down to attack you. So now here you are standing on that roof, looking down below, and you see a member of House Lyrandar, the house that was housing you beforehand, and a dwarf and fully dressed in armor, getting surrounded by Stalbor skeletons. One of them smacking the weapon against its shield, trying to gather the attention, which clearly it did. The skeletons are closing in fast, and the dwarf has its mace, its maul at the ready, so that if they closing any more, he's going to be able to take a nice heavy swing at the thing. However, the elf is seemingly hiding behind the dwarf from this angle. It looks as though he's very much trying to hide behind the dwarf and has a dagger in his hand. With that, why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we'll deal with the next part. See y'all soon.